You are listening to the Elite Sports Show with your host, Knoxville's own Sam Moore. What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the Elite Sports Show. Of course, I'm flying solo this week. Tony's enjoying his little mini vacation down in San Antonio, Texas. His should be back, I think, tomorrow, maybe Monday. Tomorrow is Monday. But, yeah, I think he's coming back tomorrow. So, yeah, he'll be back on next week. I'll try to get his thoughts on the discussion we're going to have towards the end of the show. I'm going to go on another rant about the NCAA, so that'll be fun for everybody that already listened to me rant a little bit last week, but I'm going to go over that a little bit more. I do have, maybe not a solution to their problem, but definitely a base for a solution to their problem, I think, that could really work out. Yeah, before we move any further, I just want to talk about our sponsor. If you are a vapor like myself, you like very good tasting e-liquids, and you can get those at vapetristar.com. They got some really good liquids, and I don't get paid by them or anything like that for this. They're a really good company run by really good people, and you can go to their website, like I said, at vapetristar.com, and use the promo code ELITE10 to get 10% off your total order. So if you want some good e-liquids, go to vapetristar.com. That is vapetristar.com. Use the promo code ELITE10. Get 10% off your order. But let's go ahead and get into some NBA scores. And I am way off track already. We have the Magic taking on the Grizzlies at home, defeating them 107-100. The Nuggets defeat the Cavaliers 126-117 on the road. The Heat beat the Pistons 105-96 at home. The Rockets beat the Celtics in a matchup of powerhouses in the NBA, 123-120 at home in Houston. The Lakers beat the Spurs in San Antonio 116-112. The Trailblazers beat OKC at home 108-100. And finally, the Jazz defeat the Kings 98-91. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the rest of the week, see if there are any games to look out for. Tonight, not really. Monday, nothing really on Monday. Pistons Cavs, if you want to see that, that's 7 o'clock Monday night or tomorrow night. Rockets Thunder Tuesday night, 8 o'clock. It's not looking like a good week for NBA basketball. Nothing on Wednesday. Spurs Warriors Thursday. That's at 10:30. Warriors Trailblazers at 10. If I remember correctly, the last time the Warriors and Trailblazers played, it was a Portland win, but I think there was a little bit of drama in that game. Could be interesting. Next Saturday, Spurs play the Thunder in OKC. But yeah, we'll go ahead and take a look at the standings. Looking at the Eastern Conference. Your top 8 from 8 to 1. The Heat are 12 games back. The Bucks are 11.5 back. The Sixers are 10 back. The Pacers are 9.5 back. The Wizards are 9 back. The Cavs are 8.5 back. The Celtics are a game and a half back. And the Raptors are still your Eastern Conference top seed for the playoffs. The gap between 8th and 9th seed. If you want to call 9th place in the East a seeding, you're not making the playoffs, but I guess you could still call it a 9th seed, but you're not making the playoffs with that. The Pistons, they're 16 games back, so they're 4 games behind the Heat, and the Hornets, which are 17 games back, 5 games behind the Heat. So the season's starting to wind down, and it's starting to look like, you've got your teams that are going to make the playoffs in the East. Looks like you're seeing those right now in the top 8, unless the Heat the Heat don't have to go on a dramatic losing streak to lose their placing in for 8th seed, but they would have to play off very inconsistently down the stretch compared to how they're playing now. As their last 10, they're 4 for 6, which isn't the best, but the Pistons are also 2 for 8 in their last 10. So yeah, unless the Heat just play really inconsistently down the stretch and the Pistons play very consistent, or the Hornets play very consistently down the stretch, play a little bit of catch up, It looks like we're going to have, the top 8 in the East are locked up. The same, on the other hand, cannot be said about the West. As we go from 8 to 1, we've got the Nuggets at 14.5 back, Thunder at 13.5 back, Spurs are also 13.5 back. The Spurs are a 6 seed. Well, I guess they're tied for fifth seed. The Western Conference is really crazy right now. So the Thunder, Spurs, and Pelicans, the Pelicans, are tied for 13.5 games back for 5th, 6th, and 7th place. Timberwolves are 13 games back in 4th place. The Trailblazers are in 3rd seed, 12.5 games back, and then from there it's the Rockets and Warriors show. Rockets are still leading the Western Conference, but the Golden State's just a half game back in 2nd place. Now you hear that and you're like, well, okay, pretty good playoff race, but it's a lot closer than that because the Clippers are 15.5 games back. The Jazz are only 16, or from the 8th seed, the Clippers are 1 game back. The Jazz are 2 games back. The Lakers are 6.5 games back. I'm looking at, 6.5 games back from the Nuggets, but they're playing a lot more consistently since they made the Isaiah Thomas trade, which I didn't expect to happen, but they've been playing very consistently since he came onto the squad. I think, Lonzo Ball's really hitting his stride. Kyle Kuzma, of course, he's been playing well all season. And they had Isaiah Thomas. They're playing a lot more consistently since Isaiah got onto the team. Now, I don't know if that's a direct correlation, or maybe it's just, getting certain players off the roster, like Jordan Clarkson. Maybe, Jordan Clarkson wasn't working well with Alonzo Ball, Kyle Kuzma, the way the team's playing now, because even Julius Randle is playing at a higher level, I think, than before that trade. He's playing a lot better after the trade, I believe. So I don't know if maybe, I'm not saying Jordan Clarkson may have been a problem in the locker room or anything like that, but maybe, his play style wasn't meshing very well with everyone else on the team. But yeah, the Lakers have been playing a lot more consistently since that trade, I think. So I think they have a really good chance at actually making the playoffs now, whereas before I did not think that. But yeah, past that, those are the 8, 9, 10, 11 teams that have a shot in making the playoffs in the Western Conference, because the Kings are 30.5 back, the Mavs are 30.5 back, and then the Suns and Grizzlies are both 31 games back. So basically the bottom 4 of the Western Conference is the race for who gets the first pick in the NBA draft. And then, of course, we're on Tank Watch again, which we're going to make that a weekly thing. The Bulls are sitting at, or the Bulls are shitting. The Bulls are sitting at 21-41. The Nets are 20-43. The Magic are 20-43. And the Hawks are 19-44. That's your Tank Watch for the East. In the West, you have the Kings at 19-44. The Mavs at 19-44. The Suns at 19-45. And the Grizzlies at 18-44. I'm a Grizzlies fan. If we get the first pick in the draft, I'm not going to be too upset about missing the playoffs this year. That would be okay for me. The Celtics are having a hell of a year, so I'm not. That's the good thing about having a second team in a league, is being able to fall back on somebody. A lot of people don't like that, but I have the set of teams that I grew up liking, and then I have the set of teams that I grew into as I was getting older. That's how that works out. But anyway, let's move on past the NBA and into the NCAA, and I want to point out real quick, completely transparent here. I'm recording this at 2 o'clock in the morning on Sunday morning / Saturday night, whichever way you want to look at that. And I do it so late at night because I want to do it while everything is fresh in my mind. And because I know every game is over. Usually, but apparently not this week, because St. Mary's and Pepperdine are still playing right now, and there are 8 minutes left in the second half of that game, so that game has still got a good amount of game time left. But if you're interested in the Pepperdine-St. Mary's score, Pepperdine's beating St. Mary's 54-53. That's 27-4, 22nd ranked in the country. St. Mary's down 1, which isn't that big of a deal, but they're still playing a really tight game. That's the West Coast Conference tournament. Pepperdine's 6-25 and 2-16 in the conference. So that's crazy. Yeah, let's move with some top 25 scores outside of St. Mary's, who are playing in their conference tournament right now. Number 1, Virginia defeats Notre Dame 62-57 at home. Michigan defeats Michigan State on the road. That's number 2 Michigan State, defeated by number 15 Michigan. In East Lansing 75-64. Xavier beats DePaul 65-62 on the road. Villanova crushes Georgetown at home. 4th ranked Villanova 97-73. Duke gets the win over North Carolina. 5 Duke over number 9 North Carolina. I'm really bad with giving these rankings. 74-64. Oklahoma State, unranked Oklahoma State, defeats number 6 Kansas 82-64. So, you know, Kansas still won the Big 12, but like it's still there's just something missing from this team. It's not feeling good. They've lost a lot of games they should not have lost this year. Number 7 Gonzaga defeats Loyola Marymount 83-69. Number 8 Purdue defeats Penn State at home 78-70. Number 12 Texas Tech defeats TCU 79-75 at home. That was a really close game. I did watch a little bit of that game before I went to work, and thought the Frogs were going to pull it out, but Texas Tech ends up pulling it out. They snapped their 4-game losing streak to end the season. I think everyone played their last games of the regular season this year. But 2 teams that definitely did play their last games of the regular season this year, clinching a share of the SEC title, regular season SEC title. Number 14 Auburn defeats South Carolina at home 79-70. And then number 16, Tennessee defeats Georgia at home 66-61. So Auburn and Tennessee are the SEC regular season co-champions this year. Crazy story. You know, Auburn was picked, I think, 8th or 9th to finish preseason in the SEC, and Tennessee was predicted to finish 13th, next to last in the conference preseason. So yeah, really crazy story there to have those 2 co-champions when they were picked. To, you know, one was picked middle of the conference, the other was picked to be last place in the conference. So that's really crazy. Really crazy story to tell there. So that's nice to hear for both teams and nice to hear for myself, obviously. But yeah, good win for both teams. And as we gear up for conference tournament season to start and see who gets, you know, see how the seeding is going to work out in the NCAA tournament this year. Clemson drops another. Number 18 Clemson drops another on the road at Syracuse, 55-52. Oh my gosh, my nose is itching. Number 19 Arizona defeats California at home 66-54. Texas defeats number 20 West Virginia at home 87-79. So West Virginia drops 1 to unranked Texas, but not a bad Texas team. They're just not ranked. But that's a decent Texas team. I mean, they're not the best. They're not the worst. They're a good Texas team, I think. They're decent. I'm talking too much about Texas. San Diego State defeats number 21 Nevada at home 79-74. Florida defeats Kentucky at home 80-67. Number 23 Kentucky unranked Florida. And the final top 25 game to talk about, number 24 Middle Tennessee State falls to Marshall at home 76-67. So we'll take a look at the bracketology, see how that changed. Of course, we're using Jill Lenardi's bracketology from ESPN. Full disclosure there. I am not smart enough to try to do bracketology, so I'm going to use Jill Lenardi's work, even though I'm not the biggest fan of him. But your 1 seeds at the moment are Virginia, Kansas. That might change. Virginia, Kansas, Xavier, and Villanova. 2 seeds are Purdue, North Carolina, Michigan State, Duke, and Purdue, North Carolina, Michigan State, and I'm not seeing the 4th 2 seed. Where is it at? Duke. Okay. I think I said that the first time, but I just lost track. Oh, I'm losing my mind. Other notables, Middle Tennessee State has the 11th seed. Houston, 6th seed. Arizona State, 9th seed. And Florida Gulf Coast are the 15 seeds. So those are the teams that are trending up. The teams that are trending down are Rhode Island and Florida State that are 7 and 10 seeds. both in the Midwest region. I think the way I wish you could see what I'm seeing, because the way it's formatted makes it so much more confusing. Like, I know it seems like I'm talking really slow, but I'm just trying to comprehend what I'm seeing. But let's move on to some NHL scores for the day for Saturday. The Lightning defeat the Flyers at home in a shootout 7-6. A shootout in both meanings of the word. The Stars defeat the Blues at home 3-2 in overtime. The Blackhawks defeat the Kings 5-3 on the road. The Bruins defeat the Canadiens at home in overtime 2-1. The Penguins defeat the Islanders in overtime 3-2. A lot of overtime games today, or last night rather. The Caps defeat the Maple Leafs 5-2. Coyotes, another fucking Coyotes win while we're recording this, but the Coyotes defeat the Senators 2-1 at home, and the Rangers defeat the Oilers 3-2 on the road. Let's take a look at some scores throughout the week. Tonight on deck, big games. Vegas takes on New Jersey. The Preds are taking on Colorado. That's it for Sunday, really. Monday. Nothing Monday. Well, Maple Leafs Sabres Monday. Red Wings Bruins on Tuesday. Golden Knights Blue Jackets. That's on Tuesday as well. Caps Ducks. So some pretty good games for Tuesday. Wednesday, nothing really. Thursday, Bruins Flyers. Vegas Detroit. Anaheim Nashville. Caps Kings. Blues Sharks. Friday, nothing there really. And then next Saturday we got Blackhawks Bruins, Golden Knights Buffalo, Tampa Bay Montreal, Maple Leafs Penguins. So like, we got some decent games coming up for the rest of the week. Those are the top games. Of course, I don't go over every game that's going to be taken on for the week, or else I'd be talking forever. So if you do want to, just look at the games. Look at the games that are coming up this week, because I'm not going to sit here and talk about all of them. I'll bore both of us to death. But let's take a look at the Eastern Conference standings for the NHL. The Atlantic, still that top three powerhouse. Those are the three teams that are going to be leading that division. As we near the end of the season. Tampa Bay are the conference lead, or the division leaders, sorry. The Bruins are right behind them by, I'm not good at math, by 6 points. The Lightning are at 94 points, the Bruins are at 88, and Toronto is at 85 points. And then after that, it's the Panthers, Red Wings, Canadiens, Senators, and Sabres. Not catching up. It's not going to happen. So those three teams made a lot of distance in between the others to ensure that one of them will be winning the division. And Tampa Bay is making some moves. Getting ahead by a little bit, finally creating some distance in first place. But then again, they've still played 3 more games than Boston has, and Toronto's played 4 more games than Boston has. So Boston's still got a little bit of room to catch up. Look at the Metropolitan. The Caps are the leaders there. 2 points back are the Flyers. 3 points back are the Penguins. And then 7 points back are the Devils. And then after that, the Metropolitan division is a pretty close division. But I just don't see some of these teams being able to catch up to do anything like that. It'll just be a really hard thing to do, because the way I'm seeing it, the Metropolitan's going to finish with either Caps, Flyers, Penguins, or Devils division winner there. And to me, the Devils are more of a stretch out of those 4 than the Penguins, the Flyers, or the Caps. But the Devils, I think, have a better chance than Carolina, Columbus, Rangers, or Islanders out of those 4 teams up top. Looking at the Western Conference. Also, before we move to the Western Conference, I just want to point out that Tampa Bay and Boston, Tampa Bay has a plus 58 goal differential, and Boston has a plus 51 goal differential, and that is insane. But yeah, we'll move on to the Western Conference. And in the Central, it is the Preds with a 6-point lead over the Jets, 91-85 there. And then at 79 points is the Dallas Stars. 79 points as well is the Minnesota Wild. And then you've got the Avalanche and the Blues at 75 points. And the Blackhawks at 64. So the Blackhawks, I want to say there's no way they're going to be winning the Central Division this year. So I think it's going to be between Nashville, Winnipeg, and Minnesota. Dallas is playing some really good hockey right now, but I think down the stretch, I think Minnesota will be able to overcome them and have a better chance than Dallas will. And Nashville and Winnipeg, I think, are the top two candidates, obviously, to take that. Nashville's playing really good hockey right now. They finally got in their groove right after the All-Star break and everything like that. They finally hit their groove and started playing like they were in the late last season and into the Stanley Cup playoffs last year. So the Predators playing really good hockey right now. The Jets are playing really good hockey as well. But the Predators are on a 7-game win streak, so they're creating a lot of distance, a lot of distance between themselves and the Jets. So they can keep up their consistency like that. I mean, they're 8-2 in their last 10 games, so they're playing really well right now. It's going to be really hard to try to slow down that Predators team as we get closer towards the end of the year. Then we look at the Pacific, which is the Golden Knights. San Jose's catching up, though. They are gaining a little bit of ground. They're only 8 points back on Vegas, and the Kings are only 10 points back. So there's a little bit of catch-up there. The Vegas Golden Knights have dropped the last 3 of their games, and in their last 10, they're 5-4-1. So they're not... I don't want to say they're not playing good hockey, because they're still playing good hockey when you look at it from an overall picture. When you look at their last 10 games, they've been struggling a little bit. And I don't watch a lot of Vegas games. Haven't watched a lot here lately, at least. So I don't know what those issues could possibly be. But the way I'm looking at it, they're not playing the best they've played all year. Now I don't know if maybe they have an injury or some sort of issue on the lineup or something like that. But Vegas isn't playing the best hockey they've played this year. Especially through the last 10. Like I said, they're 5-4-1, so they're splitting those games 50-50 for the last 10. So this will be a big week for them to try to catch up, start playing at the same level they were before, because they're not playing the best hockey they've played all year right now. They don't want to let San Jose catch up, because San Jose's playing some really good hockey right now. Take a drink break real quick. All right, so we're going to NASCAR tomorrow, or today rather. We have the Pennzoil 400 at Las Vegas. Top 10 for that race. Starting lineups, or starting grid. The top 10, you got pole winner Ryan Blaney, Kevin Harvick, Kurt Busch, Martin Truex Jr., Kyle Larson, Chase Elliott, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., Brad Keselowski, Eric Jones, and Joey Logano. Other notables, Kyle Busch is at 13th, Jimmy Johnson 14th, Austin Dillon, Daytona 500 winner, he's at 16th, and then from there, it's how you would expect it to be, really. I think this will be a good race tomorrow. I always like watching the Vegas race. It's one of my favorite races of the year. Hoping for Ryan Blaney, he got the pole there. I'm hoping for a Team Penske win. We got all 3 of our guys in the top 10 this week, so hopefully it'll be a good Team Penske win. There's my NASCAR fandom, Team Penske. Logano is my number 1 favorite overall, but a Team Penske win for me is a Team Penske win. It's just as good as the Logano win to me. That's all I've got for scores, updates for the week on sports. So let's go ahead and get into the my NCAA rant, which I've been thinking about all week, actually. So I've had a little bit of time. It was actually Monday, this past Monday, I started thinking about this. And it's the whole NCAA paying players ordeal. And this is going on with the FBI investigations in college basketball, but this can apply to all NCAA sanctioned sports. Mostly football, basketball, those two. Which I think it would apply to the most. So number one, say we'll do this. We'll do this one. I have two things I want to talk about, but we'll do this one first. Um, so to pay the players, so something happens with this FBI thing, and the NCAA is finally just like, Jesus, okay, this is an issue. We understand. We need to solve this. We're going to start paying. We're going to pay our players, but we're going to do it in a way where it's the NCAA is feeding the money to the colleges, which I'm pretty sure they do now anyway from TV revenue and whatnot. Or maybe it's through conferences. However it works, we're going to feed the money to the universities. The universities will then play the players that they have on scholarship. Now, this is where it gets kind of tricky, I think, but I think it'll work. If you put a player on scholarship, that's obviously showing that you believe they're going to be a starting player or play a pivotal role on your team, in which case you'll be paying them if you truly do think that. Walk-ons, sorry you miss out. You walked on to the team. So if you're not on scholarship, you're a walk-on for whatever reason you're not on scholarship, you will not be getting paid. But if you are on scholarship, you will be getting paid, but there will not be any... Everyone will be getting paid the same amount. And your conferences will be setting those amounts. So say SEC players get paid, $25,000 a year. I'm not saying that's how much they should get paid or how much they shouldn't get paid. I'm just throwing out numbers here. The SEC gets paid $20,000 a year, $25,000 a year. Who cares? X amount of money. Big Ten is a Y amount, $20,000. ACC, $20,000, and then you go to conferences like the Sun Belt, they're getting $10,000 a year. So something like that, where you're not punishing the smaller conferences and the smaller universities, but you're also not giving, what's the word I'm looking for? You're not showing favoritism to the bigger conferences. So you're allowing these smaller universities and smaller conferences to not go bankrupt essentially by doing this, which is what I think a lot of the reason why this isn't talked about more is because the Big Five conferences and even like the AAC and stuff like that, they're going to be able to pay their players a lot more because they're making a lot of money. But conferences like the Sun Belt may be making a little bit of money, but they're not going to be making enough to pay all their scholarship players $30,000 a year. Or maybe they do. I'm not looking at the numbers, but I'm making assumptions here. I would imagine they don't make that much money. But I think that's a good way to make that work, is to set a certain dollar amount that every scholarship player makes, whether you're quarterback, running back, kicker, punter, left guard, nose tackle, whatever position you play, it doesn't matter. And maybe you don't play them as a freshman or don't pay them as a freshman or they redshirt or anything like that. So there's other things you can add on top of that to add technicalities in. If they get injured, you still have to pay them regardless if you put them on IR or something like that, because that's just not fair to them. Yeah, there's other things they could add on to that, and I'm sure they would if this were to actually happen. I'm sure they wouldn't just, you put a player on scholarship, here's $30,000, throw it at them. I'm sure they'll find some way to either find a way out of paying those players or find a way out of, whatever it may be. The second thing I was thinking about, and this one's the first one, I think what I just talked about is very unrealistic, I think, but this one is even more unrealistic. But it's interesting to think about. So the FBI thing goes down, and say at the end of this, the FBI is like, the NCAA just cannot control what they're doing, what they're undertaking here. They're just they're not able to control the universities and these coaches and everything that they're doing, because we had to undertake this investigation and found all this stuff. The NCAA shuts down, completely gone. And then the conferences kind of take over and govern themselves. And when this happens, hypothetically, there are going to be some changes. And I don't want to say conference realignment because that's thrown around a lot, because I don't think this is a conference realignment. It's more of a sort of a political move, I think, because a lot of these conferences are going to have different rules. Like the Big 12 is not going to have the same rules for as like as the SEC. They're going to be completely different rule sets. So like maybe paying players, maybe the ACC and the SEC pay players, but the Pac-12 and the Big 12 don't pay players. So maybe it's something like that where, in the SEC they say, oh, we're going to pay our players, and Texas A&M goes, we don't really want to do that. They go back to the Big 12, where the Big 12 is not paying players, and it all works out for them. So we could see a lot of shakeup in conference members. Maybe some conferences have, maybe the SEC ends up with having 16 teams, but they have 2 teams leave, and the Big 12 ends up with 12 teams because they have a couple teams come in, or 2 or 3, how many teams they need to get to 12, or maybe they go to 14. Maybe the Big 10 loses a couple teams. Maybe, the Pac-12 loses some teams. They go to the Mountain West or wherever they want to go. And say West Virginia is like, oh, well, with all this going down, we don't know how the money situation is going to be. We need to stop the travel as much. They leave the Big 12 and they go to either the ACC or the SEC. There could be a lot of big changes in this. But yeah, the conferences would be governing themselves, having interconference play like there still is. SEC playing Big 12, stuff like that. But I think that would be very interesting to see how that would work. Because on one hand, there would definitely be conferences that would be a lot more open to paying their players legally, as opposed to some conferences who don't want to necessarily pay their players, whether they're getting, they're probably getting paid under the table, but they're not getting paid on the record. I don't think, I think there are some conferences that would be more open to that, and some conferences that wouldn't be. I'm not saying the SEC and the ACC would be more open. I'm just saying, as an example, 2 conferences do and 2 conferences don't, and then you've got a conference that's maybe halfway in between. With the scholarship thing, like I just said, I feel like that's a halfway in between, a solid meeting in the middle. I just think that would be very interesting. We're still waiting on everything on this FBI investigation to come out. One of those teams included in the FBI investigation are the SEC co-champions, Auburn, along with Bruce Pearl. So it'll be interesting to see how that comes out. I would imagine they're going to wait to release more and more info. I would imagine right after the NCAA season ends for basketball, a lot more of that information will be coming out from the FBI regarding their investigation and all that. Because they might want to wait until the end of the season to not get, some of these guys that are playing currently distracted by everything that's going on. And maybe, you never know. We know that they know things that we don't know because they've been investigating this forever. It's the FBI. They know what they need to know already, surely. They just haven't released that info yet. So I think they're waiting until the end of the year, or the end of the season rather, to release that information, which is coming up. And it's not far from now. It's just in a month, just next month. By this time next month, the season will be over. If I could get my words out correctly. But yeah, it's a short one today. Don't have Tony with us today. But he will be back next week. Like I said, he's enjoying his mini vacation in San Antonio right now. So I hope he's having a great time. I haven't talked to him since yesterday. I don't think I talked to him today. But I talked to him yesterday. He seemed to be having a good time. But yeah, we got a couple new shows coming up. The MMA Monday show. I don't know if I talked about that last week, but we have two new shows throughout the week. We have MMA Mondays, which will be releasing tomorrow, which we already have recorded. We're just sitting on it right now. And then on Wednesdays, if you were a previous Spotcast listener, or maybe you never listened to it and you're watching this and you enjoy pro wrestling, me and Alex are going to be doing a weekly on Wednesday called the Spotcast, which is our previous podcast about professional wrestling. We'll be talking about that on Wednesdays. So starting this Monday and this Wednesday, we'll have MMA Mondays and the Spotcast Wrestling Wednesdays on every Wednesday. And then, of course, on Sunday, there's me and Tony, except on days he wants to leave me here by myself to record this. But no, I'm glad he's having a good time down there. I might try to give him a phone call here in a minute when I get off, because I'm pretty sure he's headed back to his hotel right now. But yeah, thank you guys. Thank you for watching. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. And check out our sponsor, VapeTristar.com. Use the promo code ELITE10 to get 10% off your total order. And have a good one, guys, out there. Have a good one out there, guys. Peace. Bye.
So fresh.
Playing for the fame, my swag is the only game. Never add water, that shit will drive you insane. Moving up the ladder, to me your shit doesn't matter. Your chick might be bad, but I bet my chick is better. Show you who I'm reppin', nigga, throwing up Knockside. And my nigga Snapback coming in from the north side. Handing out shots on the street, come and get a hit. Then I take your bitch to my place and she let me hit. Blunt rolled up, take a puff and I pass it down. All my niggas with me, 865, that's my hometown. Tim Doc on the track, I ain't sippin' on Kool-Aid. That shit's for pussies, I live life on a high grade. Wake up every day, ready to bring on the rain. Knocks filling my blood, flowing all through my veins. No room for pussy rappers, always trying to fit in. Say what you want, cause all we do is win. Wake up every day, ready to bring on the rain. Knocks filling my blood, flowing all through my veins. No room for pussy rappers, always trying to fit in. Say what you want, cause all we do is win.
How we do is win, how we do is ball. Bring the rain, 250, I let it out. What the fuck you mean? I do this for real. Young Doc got the Glock, he shooting the kill. Lil Knox ain't the spot, we shooting that wheel. Rolling up, motherfucker, we smoking that kill. I'm a real nigga, shoot to kill niggas like Muslims. Let me murder one of you fuck niggas, we cheap about a dozen. Fuck your sister, mother's brother, and I can't forget your cousin. Snap back, I'm the greatest man, Young Doc, we faded. Snap back, I'm the greatest man, Young Doc, we faded. Pussy niggas, they hate it. Pussy niggas, they hate it. I'm down.
Every day, ready to bring on the rain. Knocks filling my blood, flowing all through my veins. No room for pussy rappers, always trying to fit in. Say what you want, cause all we do is win. Wake up every day, ready to bring on the rain. Knocks filling my blood, flowing all through my veins. No room for pussy rappers, always trying to fit in. Say what you want, cause all we do is win. Throw the deuces up to bitches, I don't play with fucking cinches. Turn your back on me and I promise that there won't be a witness. Say what you want in your lyrics, I bet no one will hear it. My entire fan base is based on all your critics. Take a shot at the title and see who's at the top. I might not be there yet, but try and make me stop. Say hasta la vista, baby, like I was a Terminator. And I just keep getting bigger like I am a Schwarzenegger. Come at me and you in danger, I'm no pimp, I'm just a player. A snap of my fingers and all my niggas annihilators. I put this pen on the paper and pull my head towards the light and imagine the day that I'm in front of a giant crowd. Wake up every day, ready to bring on the rain. Knocks filling my blood, flowing all through my veins. No room for pussy rappers, always trying to fit in. Say what you want, cause all we do is win. Wake up every day, ready to bring on the rain. Knocks filling my blood, flowing all through my veins. No room for pussy rappers, always trying to fit in. Say what you want,
Cause all we do is win.